So, her main goal is to change the way our bedroom works.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here today. So I'm going to talk to you about the future of sex tech, and I'd like to start with a question. What was the most important thing that you learned about sex before you had it? Use a condom, maybe. Something about STIs, pregnancy. Perhaps you learned a little bit about consent if you had good sex education, or something about love and relationships. But how many of you learned about pleasure? That sex, no matter how you have it, should actually be a pleasurable thing. It's bizarre because we've had sex and we've been talking about masturbation since humanity, but never really about pleasure. And sex education is always focused on things like what body parts should go where and when, or STIs and pregnancy. It's a plumbing and prevention approach. It basically gives you the ingredients that you need to avoid complete disaster, but it doesn't really give you anything to aspire to. And when we grow up and we become adults, all the sex advice and the tips that we get is all focused on actions rather than pleasure. Here's 5 new ways to give your boyfriend a blowjob, or 10 sex tips to have the best sex ever. But when it comes to sex, sex is not about actions, it's about pleasure. And yet we're presented with sex as if it's some kind of IKEA instruction manual. These are the things that you need, and these are the steps that you should take in this particular order in order to reach some kind of successful conclusion. But like I say, the pleasure we get from sex is not from actions, it's from sensations and connections with other people. So what does this mean for the future of technology and the way that we interact with sex, technology, and connections and people? Well, normally when you read about some new sex tech thing, a new vibrator, a new app, robots, or VR, the articles often focus on things or features. This thing will vibrate, this will squeeze, this one you can connect up with your porn and have loads of fun. But what I want to argue today is that it's not important what sex tech does, it's important how it makes you feel. And so when we started the company a couple of years ago, MysteryVibe, we did a huge piece of research into where society was going and talking about sex. And one thing that we found is that people are looking for personalization. They're not looking for the instructions that sex education is giving them. They want to explore how particular products and services and apps can work with their own body and in their lives and with their partners. Now, how does sex tech fit into this, and how do we develop companies for the future that help people to explore their desires rather than tell them what to do? I would argue that we need to approach sex tech in a very different way than we approach other industries' technology. Often, the most successful companies that you see in technology solve a problem. They solve a particular problem for a large number of people, and that's why they become so popular. So, for example, you want to go to a different city in a different country. You don't really want to go to a hotel because hotels are expensive and they are a little bit impersonal. So your solution is Airbnb. Or you have a problem, you have invented some really cool new thing and you know everyone's going to love it, but you have absolutely no way of financing it or getting investment. Your solution to that would be Kickstarter. But this kind of approach simply does not work when it comes to sex. This problem-solution approach doesn't work because pleasure isn't a problem that needs to be solved. And this is where those old sex education and those old articles in media fell down and don't work, because they treat sex like it's some kind of problem, and then they offer you advice, instructions, tips to solve it. What I want to argue today, and what I hope you'll agree with me with, is that when it comes to technology and sex, and in the bedroom, the most important role that technology plays is in helping you discover. Sex tech shouldn't give you answers. It shouldn't give you solutions. It should provoke you to ask new questions and explore and evolve. Now, one of the great examples of this, I think, is going to be virtual reality. Virtual reality, everyone know, I'm sure who's tried it, virtual reality? A lot of people. Has anyone ever watched virtual reality porn? I have. Virtual reality is still fairly young as a technology, and most people, when it comes to sex, will use it as an enhancement to watching 2D porn online. Or the most advanced kind of mechanisms or schemes are when you can hook up your VR to some kind of sexual device and get them to work together, if you know what I mean. But in the future, and as the price of this technology comes down, we're going to start looking at more real-time interactions between people. So, for example, you could have sex in real time with your favorite porn star. Or you could have sex with your partner when they've gone on a business trip and they're in a different country through VR. You put your headset on, you connect up with your partner, you connect up with your device, and you can have sex with them. Now, those are the two main examples that people use when they talk about VR and sex. But in my mind, there are lots more interesting things that we can talk about when it comes to virtual reality and challenging our assumptions. Say, for example, you could have a very full, romantic, and sexual relationship with someone you've never even met in real life. It's the same process. You put your headset on, you connect up with that person, you connect up with whatever device, and you could say, go to the park, or go to the cinema, or have sex with that person, completely through virtual reality. Never meet them. Now that's the process. Step 1, headset. Step 2, connection. Step 3, play. But some of the more interesting questions, I think, come when you delve a little bit deeper and you think about what that actually means for people and the way that we interact with that technology. So how will our sense of sexual compatibility change if you're having a relationship entirely in the digital sense? The normal things that you might swipe on Tinder for, hair color, how tall someone is, their body size, what their face looks like, become less and less relevant. If you have a completely digital relationship with someone you've never met before and you're never going to meet in real life, does it matter what they look like? I would argue no. Of course, this isn't me saying that personality is more important than looks. It's more that I'm saying sometimes we have to think about other questions. So for example, instead of thinking, I'm attracted to that person's physicality, you might think, I'm attracted to the way that person conducts himself, to their behavior, to the way they converse with me. And what kind of erotic qualities do you find attractive that go beyond the physical? And if we take that even further, it might not just be your partner who can change the way that they look. It's going to be you as well. You could change your digital avatar based on your mood or on new stuff that you really want to explore. So you could, for example, have sex in VR as someone of a completely different gender to you, or a different ethnicity, or a different body type, or as an alien, if that's your thing. So I think VR, when you start thinking about those very deep questions about how we interact and the kind of societal assumptions that will change if you have sex with someone through VR, someone other than your partner, is that cheating? If you've never met them, and you will never meet them. I think those kinds of questions are interesting. And while we can talk about how VR works and the steps of putting your headset on and connecting and playing, what's more interesting is how do those questions make you feel? How does it feel to think, oh, I could have sex and have completely different body parts? Oh, okay, and I skipped a couple of slides. So yeah, here's my point. It's not important what sextech does, it's important how it makes you feel. So what does this mean for a company who is developing products in this space, and how do we make sure that we are making products and services that allow people to explore rather than giving them a guide, an instruction, this is how you do it, here's your IKEA manual? Well, when we started the company 2.5 years ago, like I said, we thought we had found a problem, and the problem was technology. Technology has increased and gotten so smart so quickly. We now get such a flurry of emails, texts, notifications through our phones and through our laptops. You're constantly bombarded by them. and you have your agenda and your to-do list on your phone, and you take your laptop into the bedroom with you and your phone, and sometimes your phone is the last thing you touch at night and maybe even the first thing you touch in the morning. And we saw this increased human propensity to be distracted by our technology, and we thought this is a real problem that needs to be solved. But the more we thought about it, the more we realized that technology wasn't the problem. Yes, technology can help you send an email at 11 p.m. as a request to your client when there's something going disastrously wrong, or it means that you can connect into your email on the weekend or in the evening when you could be doing other things or spending time with your partner. But at the same time, technology helps you connect to your romantic and sexual relationships. You can connect via Skype to someone when they're away, or you can watch porn together, or you can download an app that helps you learn new things about what your partner wants and desires. So we realized that technology is not the problem, and pleasure isn't a problem that needs to be solved. What was more important to us was the concept of coming up with some new way of helping people explore and be curious and be playful about what they wanted and what they needed, not just with their partners, but also by themselves. Instead of being distracted by technology, using technology to enhance relationships. So for us, sex tech is a way to enhance and help people connect better with each other. So when we first started thinking about design and creativity, one of the key things that popped out from our research, like I said, was personalization and individuality, and making some kind of product that works with you and your body, rather than you having to shape what you want and what you need based on what's available to you. And that's how we came up with our first product, which is Crescendo. As you can see, it's a highly bendable and personalizable vibrator. Because like I said, technology isn't the problem. And we are always told by people, you need to put your technology down, you need to put your technology away. I can't count the number of times my mum has said to me, put the phone down, have a real conversation. But what she doesn't realize is that that's exactly what phones are for. They're for having conversations and connecting with people all around the world. So for us, and when it comes to sex tech, the most important thing that we can do when we build products and services is facilitate those conversations, facilitate those connections, and help people, give people a springboard to kind of explore what they want, their desires, things that they never thought about before. So the last thing that we would ever want someone to do when they bought one of our products is to open the box, read the instructions, and use it exactly how someone told them to, how they were supposed to. It's about creativity and playfulness and exploring your desires. So I'm going to leave you today with a bit of a request that harks back to some of those media tips and advice things that you find in Cosmo and clickbait titles around sex, 10 new ways to do this, 5 new ways to do that. And I want to request of you that the next time you read some article about a new piece of sex technology, sex tech, whether it be an app, a product, robotics, virtual reality, instead of reading that article and thinking, what does this do? How does this work? Read it and think, how does this make me feel? And the next time you're in bed, either by yourself or with your partner or with your many partners, whatever you like to do, instead of asking the question, what should I do? Ask the question, what do I want? What do you want? How do you want me to make you feel? Because after all, we are not thinking beings that feel, we are feeling beings that think. And hopefully sex tech will start to bring some of that feeling back into our day-to-day lives. Thank you so much.